Greetings, everybody. I don't know about you, but that video was very powerful and brought back some memories. I want to welcome everyone. My name is Tish Leon, and I'm a member of CARA and also with the executive board. And I want to give you the agenda for today. We're going to have Chris Organ, Susan Pfeiffer, and Rob England, and Susan Meyer. She's going to be our speakers. On the agenda that you received in the email has a link to the bio and also a link to the agenda. So if you would like to know more about them, feel free to click on that.
All right, so just so everybody knows, I've got my arrangement here. Up here is a link to the cats to sign up to the cats. This is CARA or Proposition 50, which really helped us transform with Senior Vote. So I am Chris Organ. I am the chair of our Senior Vote program, and I just wanted to share with you that Senior Vote with CARA, it has been emerging over time. So let's get started. Senior Vote came to us out of necessity. Political power has always taken aim at healthcare and programs like Social Security that benefit people, not billionaires, not corporations. Each of us knows we can't just sit tight in retirement, but we want to base everything we do at CARA on facts, on the nonpartisan approach. You know, those are our values, and as we evolve, as Senior Vote grows, we promise to stick with those values. If you look at the slide, we really began around 2018, and I'm going to talk about our program through 2024. Outreach in the targeted congressional districts. Every other year, we contacted senior voters to get them excited to vote in swing congressional. We persuaded voters with nonpartisan facts to put Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, or Medi-Cal, first when considering who deserved their vote. We joined with numerous other organizations functioning independently, and we held the line and fought back against President Trump's claims on the working class and retirees. Now, some of our frustrations have been tied to the design of our campaigns. CARA lists included large numbers of non-voters, bad phone numbers, and the necessity to call multiple times only to speak with a few voters per each volunteer. With 100 names on our lists, we were lucky to speak with 5 to 10 voters. For comparison, with our Prop 50 calling using the scale to win predictive dialer, I spoke with 30 voters in each of my many 2-hour shifts. In 2018, there were postcards and convention details that involved multiple ballot initiatives with mailings that cost lots of money, but failed to bring large crowds to our regional conventions. That was money CARA did not really have to spend and further complicated our budget. The history and past of CARA's Senior Vote program, tracing our impact and evolution. We have always sought to build political power for seniors. Key to our success is nonpartisan education, especially around key issues. Going back to our beginnings, we pushed the strategy to grow and mobilize, especially into battleground areas. That was always a grassroots effort, recruiting volunteers with our CARA action teams, 18 across the state. It has been critical that we evolve, and issues like the pension offset or the so-called windfall elimination were Social Security issues for a long time with us. But we reached across the aisle to both parties in Congress and passed the law to eliminate those harmful programs. But we still face a changing attack from the current president. Artificial intelligence put in place to deny Medicare benefits or determine Social Security disability claims. Our tactics must evolve to meet the moment. The results have been mixed and not measured. Our Senior Vote has been underappreciated. In 2018, CARA helped elect a pro-senior congressional majority. In 2020, CARA forged a virtual senior force to fight COVID and Trump. In 2022, that election brought us House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. This is where you all boo. In 2024, that election elected Donald Trump as president. CARA's volunteer ranks shrank over time. For me, that's the most troubling trend. Our volunteer base started shrinking. We wanted to have 250 volunteers, but did not reach 200 toward the end. And Congress and the presidency were slipping away toward privatization and allowing our core programs to fall apart. But all that has changed with Proposition 50. Our phone calling efforts are key to winning, voting, fighting with all we have. I think you all agree, enough is enough. When we vote, we win. When we fight, we win. And seniors vote, so seniors should win. All right? So let me introduce Susan Pfeiffer. She's our CARA phone volunteer extraordinaire, and let's make this fun. Right, Susan?
Right. Got my phone ready to get out there and make calls and win the election. First of all, I'm a baby boomer, and a whole lot of people on this call are also baby boomers. We were the largest single generation in history. We made waves, and we're still doing that. So CARA seniors mobilized to contact thousands of senior voters to fight back against H.R. 1 and to pass Proposition 50. And we know this. We know who our partners are with CARA. These were for the Prop 50 coalition. This is the thing, the new tech with seniors learning digital calling systems. In a minute, I'm going to show you a brief example of how it works. We're not going to make a call, but I'll show you the ones that was being used in the Central Valley for the primaries, just so you get an idea. Once you learn the system, it could not be easier. It goes out and dials the numbers for you and delivers the callers directly to your phone and your computer. There I am right in the middle, making calls. And there's Chris. For Prop 50, there were 850 volunteer shifts that executed 426,674 phone numbers were dialed by scale to win. 12,002 senior voters were contacted. So when the system goes out and dials 426,000 phone numbers, that connected with 12,000 people that we could talk to, and it's almost instantaneous. And then 10,383 seniors actually agreed to vote yes. Do you see the correlation between 12,002 and 10,383? We were calling the right people. We got them to vote. This is just a brief example. When Scale to Win starts, the first thing you're going to see on the screen is an old-fashioned telephone receiver rocking back and forth with some corny jokes. That means the system is out there speed dialing. When somebody actually answers the phone, it starts with this bar being gray. When they answer the phone, the bar turns bright green, and this means somebody's actually on the phone, and you start talking right away. You'll see their first name up here, and above that, you will see their name, their political party, their age, their gender, and how often they voted in the last 5 elections. So you get a quick capture of who they are. If it's a 26-year-old, you might approach them differently than a 70-year-old. So that helps me to know how to approach them. And then you say their first name's up there, and you say, "Hi, is this Mary?" And if the person says yes, "What can I do for you?" you click on talking to correct person. That's the only way the script will open for you. The rest of these are pretty self-explanatory, and you click on those and it moves on to start dialing again. But let's say Mary, the name is up here, says, "Yes, this is Mary." And when I click on talking to correct person, the script opens up for you. Once you start talking to Mary, you've got the script right in front of you. Then it goes to the next. How are you planning to vote? By Dropbox or mail or in person? And let's say they say, "I'm going to go to a Dropbox." When you click here, in this case, we ask them what what county they live in. Let's say they're in Fresno. This is a magic part. This is a pre-written text. So if you finish talking to that person and they're not sure where the Dropbox is in their district, you can click on send text. This text will appear on their phone, and they can open the link. And we use the texting aspect of this frequently. It's very popular to send information to the voters. Then we click text and continue. Always the volunteer ask at the end. It depends on who you're talking to and where we are in the campaign, whether you ask them to volunteer or not. So that's pretty much how Scale to Win works. I think people have seen it. It's much less scary and much easier. And I love Chris saying that they used it a lot and it was very effective.
Thanks so much, Susan. And yeah, you really were the CARA MVP for the Prop 50 campaign. I think you were on every single shift, if I'm not mistaken, which is
I
really,
was.
really, yeah, great. Thanks for all your efforts, Susan. And thanks to everybody else that participated in that campaign. Those numbers were impressive, to say the least. Just want to put it in perspective. Thank you, Chris, for going over the history of the senior vote program. We've come a long way in a very short time, even. In 2024, in that senior vote program, CARA was able to, make about 26,000 calls to senior voters. And as you just heard, within 1 year, we were able to, by implementing new technology and new training, new recruitment strategies, we were able to increase from 26,000 to 426,000, almost 500,000 calls, improvement year over year. And when we go over some of the future numbers here in a second, you'll see that we're not even close to being done yet. So I did want to talk about the future of the senior vote program because we still have a lot of improvements that we can make. And as they always say that this election is the most important election of your lifetime. But this time, I think, it's actually real because this midterms will be one of CARA's greatest challenges that we've ever faced. And lots of consequences that are going to happen if we don't win on this one. It is one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. So let's talk a little bit about the future of the senior vote program. Just wanted to kind of put it back in perspective, right? We're getting hit daily, even hourly, by bad news here, bad news here. And, we need to kind of stop and just think things are moving so fast. What are some of the things that have recently happened that have led CARA to be so vested in wanting to throw down big in these midterms because they voted to gut our healthcare. As some of you know, in 2027, a lot of those cuts are going to come and start happening in big ways. And we have members that are going to have to decide between medicine, food, shelter. So we have to throw down big. They cut staffing and accessibility to the services that we rely on. Social security offices are being closed. Staffing positions are being cut. Same thing with the VA. They're busting our unions, right? Our partners at AFGE are getting hit really, really hard right now. And it's only a matter of time before, they continue their waging their war on public sector workers. It'll eventually bleed over into the private sector. And by the way, the economy is being handled. Private sector unions are, already seeing issues with layoffs and such. They're tearing apart our communities and they're killing us in the streets. And so what CARA needs to do is set some goals and figure out how we're going to win in this election. The core of CARA and what we do is training and education, right? And so we've already trained hundreds of members on digital phone banking, as Susan said, and demonstrated to us. This is push button, right? It's click, 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 you're done. No longer are you fumbling with a paper list, dialing numbers on a phone, waiting for somebody to pick up, making sure you mark the right box. All that is in the past. And I was just so floored by how quickly everybody here at CARA picked these systems up. Even people that have never used them before, within one session of training, were knocking out hundreds of calls in a session. It was like nothing I've ever seen before. And so we've set a goal of 350 new senior trainees to be trained on these systems. So that way we can bolster the forces that we already have trained, which again, as Susan mentioned, is in the hundreds. Volunteer recruitment. Without this army, we're not going to be able to execute this mission that we need to go on. So we need everyone to recruit senior vote ambassadors. And that means you all that are in attendance. It's wonderful that you all show up yourselves, but we can exponentially grow our power and our ability to influence elections by inviting our peers, by inviting other folks from other organizations that we may be a part of. It's so critical and important that each of us becomes an organizer and organizes within our circles, right? Whether that's our friend group, our church group, other parts and segments of our communities, we need to reach out to everybody. So we've set a goal of 600 individual volunteers. And that doesn't mean, come show up once. And this means let's come up with a schedule. What works for you? Can you show up twice a week? Can you only show up once a week, right? We can work with you because there's going to be so much activity going on. We can accommodate anybody. Contributions to the program. Doing this type of work is expensive. And so the phone banking, just for example, every dial that we make is 4 cents. Now, if that doesn't matter if the person picked up, if the number that was dialed was wrong, it's 4 cents. And so, as you saw, doing almost 500,000 calls, that is pretty darn expensive. It adds up to tens of thousands of dollars. And so, by working with other affiliate organizations that you may be a part of, any donations and contributions that you can get greatly help us keep operations going. Because again, we're going to try to engage voters in the largest way that we've ever done in CARA's history. Voter contacts. The goal for fundraising, we had budgeted at the beginning of the year. We're hoping to bring in around $60,000. We did some math, and as far as voter contacts go, with our Prop 50 campaign, we were doing about 50,000 calls on average with each shift. And so we are planning on doing multiple shifts where we were doing only one per week with Prop 50. We're looking at doing up to 3, possibly more shifts per week with our midterm election efforts. And so with that being said, we have increased our goal. As I stated, in 2024, did about, 26,000 calls. 2025, we did 426,000. 2026, we're hoping to hit 1.5 million calls, which would, again, be breaking records in a historic way for this organization. And I honestly think that's a conservative estimate. Now, that was based off numbers, right, that we had from last year. We were still learning last year. We were still building this army, right, of senior callers. That army exists. The training and experience exists still. So I think that we can probably hit more than 50,000 calls per shift this year and blow past that 1.5 million call goal. Get out your calendars, because I just wanted to go over some important dates that are upcoming. You all know that June 2nd is the primary election day. Things will be a lot clearer for us after that, because there won't be, half a dozen gubernatorial candidates anymore. There won't be, all these other races that are clogged up with a lot of folks. We'll kind of know, more clearly how things are going to look going forward. In August, and this is throughout August, we're going to be having our CARA regional conventions and candidate forums. And so we're having one mega forum in Southern California. There are 3 in the Central Valley and 2 in Northern California. So if you haven't signed up for this yet, please talk to your organizer or CAT chairs. That way you can get connected. And please go to your CAT meetings, because this is where a lot of the planning happens for these things. So be a part of the event and make it yours. On September 7th, that will be Labor Day. And I specifically mentioned CLCs because if you are in the vicinity of a central labor council, pretty much all of them, in fact, all of them should be doing Labor Day activities. Some do breakfast, some do barbecues. I just highly encourage you to go as CARA representatives, whether it's you attending or, more importantly, if you can, table at these events, right? And let us know if you need materials, because we can ship those out to you. We want to get the word of the Senior Vote program out to these labor councils, because lots of these unions have active retiree chapters. And if they're not currently engaged, we want to get them engaged. And then the day after Labor Day is like the unofficial kickoff of labor's campaign efforts. And so that is when our first phone banking shift/training will be. So again, mark your calendars as you're signing up to become a senior ambassador with us. That is when we're going to really get started. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get involved beforehand, because again, come to the CAP meetings. That's where we're going to be planning out how we're going to be doing, phone banking in different regions, how we're going to be going out and canvassing in certain areas. That's really important, and we want you to be a part of that. Phone banking will continue until Election Day, so from September 8th all the way through November 3rd. October is when we shift into GOTV, get out the vote. Ballots go out the first week of October. And so we've been talking to tens of, if not hundreds, it should be thousands of voters throughout September. In October, we go back to the people that said, yeah, you know what? I like your guys' position on this. And we'll follow up with them and say, hey, it's us again. Did you turn in your ballot? No. Well, here's several ways that you can do it. Here's your polling place. Here's your, county drop-off box. Or what we recommend, mail it in. So, there's going to be a lot of work happening. We'll be shifting kind of our messaging at that point. And then by the time we get to November 3rd, again, we should be, I hope, surpassing that 1.5 million call goal. But these are important dates to remember. And really importantly, when you get your ballot, just fill it out and send it back in or turn it into a drop box right away. Don't hang on to it, because if they get lost, you got to go through, a whole process. So we all want all of you to become senior ambassadors. Join today, help ensure our victory, and our victory is your victory, because, these programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all the things that they're looking to cut, they don't care what political party you are. They don't care what race you are. Those programs are there to serve us all, because we pay for them, right? Attend your regional conventions in August and learn about the candidates. Again, we've got these going on all across the state on different dates. If you don't know when yours is, talk to your CAT chair or your organizer. We are going to be doing these hybrid. So if you cannot physically get to where one of the physical locations are, then you can tune into Zoom and watch it live in high def. Join your CATs. Again, this is, I think, the most critical part of if you can get involved with CARA, join your CATs, because that's the central nervous system of this organization. They're the ones that make the decisions that guide us to which, where we should go. And so find out when your CAT meeting is. They're on Zoom. There are some in person, depending on what region you're in, but we really hope that you can be involved. I'm going to pass it over to Susan Meyer so she can talk about her experience and what she would like y'all to do with the Senior Vote Program in 2026. Take it away, Susan.
All right. Hello, everybody. Fantastic. We have so many of our members joining today. This is our opportunity. You heard those numbers, right? 12,000 seniors were contacted, and out of that, 10,383 of those contacted said yes, that they were going to vote for Prop 50. Now that makes a difference. We make a difference, and everybody in the state of California is checking us out, because we do make a difference. So this is your opportunity. Wait a minute. This is my opportunity to make a difference. Oh, wait a minute. This is our opportunity to make a difference. So let me tell you, do we have the power? We have the power. Who has the power? We have the power. Who has the power? We have the power. We have the power because we have the numbers of people who can contact seniors. We know that seniors are more than 50% of the vote. Listen to that. We are more than 50% of the vote. We can make a difference. So I want to tell you how much fun I had. We saw Bowser came every single time. He opened it up. He got us in the mood. And what made my heart feel really good is every time I turned on my Zoom to join in on the phone bank, Susan Pfeiffer was there. My CARA sister, the other Susan, was there. And it really made me feel good to know that we were making a difference. So here it is, your opportunity. Let's do this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Susan. I don't know how I follow up from that, but we're lucky to have such good Susans and such good members like all of you.
Hi there. Good to see everyone. I was wondering, so when I've made these calls skill twin with other groups before, what they do is when it rings and they think the system thinks someone is answering, we'll do all the information and ask and all that. But if the system thinks it's an answering machine, they often are able to make it so that there's an automatic voice message that's put on there. Is that something you do?
It depends on how the system is set up. Often, if it's supposed to skip voicemail, occasionally it slips through. So whoever sets up the Scale to Win program will determine if you get voicemail or not.
Yes, on getting people to sign up to be a senior vote ambassador, well, we have like a little one-page thing with a link that they can click on to fill out that form that we could send out to our friends, families, and retiree groups. Will there be like a little something that explains that to tell them why we really need them to be an ambassador?
Yeah, we have some materials. I think it needs to be updated a little bit, but yes, we actually have something. We'll make sure to get that to you. But without you all, I certainly could have gotten on the phone and done as many calls to as many seniors as you all did. So this is a truly a team effort, and I'm looking forward to building this group and moving forward. But thank you.
Yeah, Rob, congratulations on this. You reported a good response from ARA nationally, the counterpart for CARA. Is the California Labor Federation and the AFL-CIO in California and nationally respectively, are they enthused about this, and are they considering making this a statewide, national kind of effort?
So yeah, we are actually the AFL-CIO. So for those that don't know, the ARA, Alliance for Retired Americans, is the official retiree chapter for the AFL-CIO. And so we are one with them. We are independent, but we are their official retiree chapter. Yes, talking to the Cal Labor Fed reps that I speak with, very enthusiastic responses. I mean, we're putting up numbers that nobody's ever seen before, right? And we did it in such a quick time. Within 1 year, we were able to just crank it up. Not even to 11, but to 111. And so I had spoken with ARA representatives at their convention and other presidents and executive directors from some of the other chapters, and they were very inquisitive about how did you do this, right? There was questions about how did you get seniors to get on these machines and get them to work so efficiently, and it was eye-opening because here we are kind of just trying to feel our way through this, and we ended up striking gold. So we are being looked at, we are being studied, and our tactics are probably going to be copied, and that's fine with me. Steal our ideas, because that just grows our power beyond California.
That is, just so you know, that is one of the priorities for our senior vote committee. So I haven't made this pitch yet, but I am very interested. If you're interested in helping us join the committee, you can get a hold of me. My email is on my name here. So just get a hold of me, and we will include you in the organizing of this. Senior vote really needs to move into these areas. As I said in my presentation, we move into the other areas of the state, and we have to boost our cats where we need to boost them. So we've had some ups and downs with our cats, and that's one of the reasons Rob is talking about some locations not having a location yet. And so we want to make it stronger. We want to help you. That's part of what I do, both with our membership committee and with our senior vote committee. So please feel free to get a hold of me. Thank you.
Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Brian Lawler. I'm with the Senior Vote Committee and a CARA CAP member in San Gabriel Valley. I want to briefly reinforce what Chris said. We need volunteers for the Senior Vote Committee as part of our preparation, or the committee's preparation for this meeting or this forum. We did phone calls to volunteers using various lists. We do have specific tasks that we need more volunteers for. As we're talking about, Rob mentioned goals, good goals for developing and expanding our volunteer base. So we need, in order to do that, as Chris mentioned, we're going to need more volunteers. So please do volunteer for the senior vote committee. I can add specifically one example where I'm calling a woman who's an SEIU. She may be in the meeting, I do not know, but she's an SEIU retiree and CARA member. And she said that her 7-to-1 local, she knows people in that 7-to-1 local who are willing to volunteer for our phone. So that kind of thing, and it sounds like that's a pretty large pool of people. So we want to try to expand that and build on it, where we find people that are moving forward and want to volunteer for the phone bank. We need to capitalize that, and we need volunteers to be calling those people to get them signed up to be senior vote volunteers, and then so senior vote ambassadors, which will include, I assume, phone banking. Is that right, Chris? Chris and Rob, yeah? Or part of being a senior vote ambassador is the phone bank in the fall?
Yes.
Okay, so we want to have a lot of volunteers working on that, not just 10 or 12. So please do join the senior vote committee, and we'll hopefully we'll create those additional volunteers and get them on the phone banks.
Used in phone banks are long. Can we make sure that scripts are as brief/concise as possible? I concur, Sarah. I've been part of organizations that like to, draft novels that we read to people, and I don't find it very conducive to keeping your voter on the line and long enough to be able to ask them the question you want to ask them. So, yes, depending on the freedom that we'll have with the scripts that we're using, we may be going to a labor council or a union, volunteering with them, and they may have a script we have to use and we can't do anything. But with CARA scripts, I can assure you they will be as brief and concise as possible.
Rob, if I could weigh in briefly.
Please.
One important fact when we're training people on Scale to Win or any phone banking tool is read the script through and then make it your own. The scripts are written by lawyers, and you do not ever want to read the script verbatim. You take out what you need and personalize it and my point is you get to the point quickly on the phone so you don't lose the voter.
That's absolutely true. I'd like to add to this. One of the great things about the system is that it has other pieces to it that you get to text people some references. In talking to voters this spring, we actually had a multiple choice of things to talk about. So for me, in calling some of the other times that we've done it, I've always kind of used the CARA line. That is, things about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That's absolutely critical, and everybody should understand the kind of revolutionary thing that we've achieved here. That is, we're calling seniors. That means we're talking to people on Medicare. So we have their attention already. So it actually gives you the opportunity to shorten the script because you're going to get their attention when you say, did you know they're already cutting our Medicare? They're already slashing our benefit, a benefit that we paid for. That's really critical here. In my book, having all those options, that's a great thing, but we have the center. That is 85%, and this is of the general population. 85% of people are support Social Security to the point that they would say tax us for preserving our benefits. That is incredible. Remember that when we're talking to voters. Thank you.
And the main goal is to engage the voter, not to preach. Get them started talking. I say, my name is Susan. I'm a volunteer with the California Alliance for Retired Americans. I'm not asking for money. and then go into, have you decided who you're voting for, or whatever the issue is?
It's not really a question. It is when you're phone banking and Sarah asked the question, you can change the script, just like Susan Pfeiffer said and Rob said, and you will know exactly what resonates with the people that you're calling at about after the second call when you use the entire script that's provided, and you can find a way to narrow that down. By your third and fourth call, you are now down into your own script that you have in your head. You don't even have to read it anymore. And you're going to say key things like, "Hi, I'm a senior just like you." All right. So, I mean, you're already connecting with another senior, and our issues are the same, right? Maintaining Social Security and Medicare. It's the same. And then we go into whatever piece we're asking them to do. But it really does work well. Please don't give up on the length of the script. That should not stop you. The script is giving you the entire picture, right? And then once you get that picture in your mind, you can narrow it down and make it fun, right? Make it fun. All right, that's all.
Make it your own. And one of the things they always teach with phone banking is smile when you're dialing, smile when you dial. People can hear it on the phone when you're smiling when you talk.
I want to thank everybody for their hard work. This has truly been a great experience. Second of all, will there be a list of physical locations for the phone banking, or is that something you can do from office and home?
That's a great question. You can do it from home. In fact, that's how most of our members did it. There will be physical locations. I know that some cats are looking to, get together, do it kind of old school and get in the same room. It helps with, keeping everybody's spirits up, and sometimes tech support's a bit easier. But we can get those locations out once we have plans solidified. But that's a great question. If you know of a location, or if anyone on this Zoom who's wanting to look for a location, just know that you're going to need computers for everyone. So if they have a space that's quiet where you can sit down and make calls, they have laptops to provide you. Bonus points if they have headsets, because that makes it even easier, because you can you don't have to hear everybody else that's talking to those other voters, or sometimes you can bring your own headphones. But these are all things to account for. Plus, there's kind of an unspoken rule that if people do phone banking, that they're kind of supposed to get fed. So think about that too, how you're gonna cover that, those kinds of things, because we're doing all volunteer work, and we don't have a budget for that. But that's a great question.
Thank you so much.
Politics, there's often a position, a volunteer position known as the comfort captain at headquarters, etc. So if phone banking is not something you're really excited about, be the person that brings snacks, bake cookies, and feed the volunteers.
That's why we want to be the top at doing this. We want them to hear our message. We want the volunteers to get the calls made. And that's what we're doing with this organizing here on May 29th.
A technology question. You mentioned, Rob, computers, needing computers at the phone bank. Will it be software or a website that we need to access? And whichever it is, will it be compatible with Macintosh computers or web browsers?
It's a website, and the link will take you to the website.
Great. And it works with like Safari and Firefox, as well as Chrome or whatever else people use.
One of the beauties of Scale to Win, it works with virtually all of the systems, where some of the earlier phone bank systems did not.
Excellent. This Mac girl is happy.
And tablets. Also, there are a few little tricks, but if you have a tablet versus a laptop, it will work with that as well.
Right. Not seeing any other hands. I just wanted to thank my wonderful, awesome co-speakers for coming on. Chris, who's chair of our senior vote committee, and Susan, who is the undisputed champion of CARA phone banking. So if you want to challenge her for the title, I'd like to see you try.
Go for it.
The challenge is on.
I'm up for it.
Susan and Chris are awesome leaders. Thank you, Tish, for being our great MC. Susan Meyer for her always inspirational, she's always inspirational when she speaks to us. And I will just want to thank the staff for putting this together. And I wanted to throw in the chat our social media links. So if you haven't already, please join our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, Blue Sky. We really would like to grow our social media platforms because we've been expanding our communications efforts, and it's really starting to show. Second set of links, I'm going to throw it in before getting back to you, Tish. Just to remind folks, if you can, attend your local No Kings rally, and we can provide you with CARA brochures or flyers if you're able to table or leaflet while you're there. Next one's on June 14th. It's usually all over the place, so there should be one in your area. The next link after that is our one-page flyer. This flyer you can either print out, and this is the one we're talking about to hand out at these events, or if you don't have printing capabilities, that's okay. We can ship them to you. Next link is, CARA runs on donations, on contributions from our affiliates and our members. And please help keep us in the fight. Whatever you can spare, you can do so by clicking that link right there. And then finally, signing up for our CARA alerts. This is our newsletter that goes out bi-monthly and usually more frequently than that. This is where you're going to learn about everything that's going on within CARA, plus news that's important to seniors and people with disabilities. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and turn it back to our host, Tish. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. And thanks again to Rob and Chris and Susan and Susan. It was really a great forum. I have a little QR code up on this side here. If you want to click on that too with your phone, that'll take you to where you could make a donation to CARA. We're going to have a forum on Friday, June 26th on AI scams on seniors. And the registration is on the agenda. I don't know if somebody can put that into the chat. We're also having our CARA's Virtual Leadership Academy on Tuesday, July 21st. And there will also a registration link for that in the chat. And again, I want to thank everybody. This was a very informative forum. Really important that we all become callers on this election. And before the video, before we close, I know that Daisy has an announcement, and then after that announcement, we will go on to the video. Daisy?
Thank you, Tish. Yes, this is Daisy Oram. I hope everyone can hear me. I am CARA's Northern California organizer and legislative advocate. And I have my camera off right now because I am about to attend a senior resource fair in Half Moon Bay, and I don't want to mess up my internet connection. But if you have not yet heard, the governor has proposed deep cuts to senior programs in his May revised budget for the state. He's proposing cuts to Medi-Cal, in-home supportive services, CalFresh, CalFood, adult protective services, and many more senior programs. So one way to fight back is a virtual call-in hour that is being hosted by a coalition we are part of, the Long-Term Supports and Services Coalition, today at 2 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. The Zoom link. So go ahead and copy that Zoom link to register and go ahead and join that. And if you want to know more ways to take action, take a look at our most recent CARA alerts so you can take action against the governor's budget. Thank you all, and back to you, Tish, or our closing video.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.